Hello everyone, and welcome back to my TEW 9 Marigold series. This is episode 2. If you missed the first episode, that is on screen right now. So go check that out and then come back here once you're caught up. But as for this video, we will be wrapping up the Marigold Summer Gold Shine Tour. And without spoiling too much, there will be some exciting happenings over the course of the next few shows. Some new debuts, some big matches even, and to wrap up the video, I will reveal the field for the inaugural Dream Star Grand Prix that will be taking place in our next video. But to kick off the episode and to kick off Night 7 of the Summer Gold Shine Tour, we are live in Itabashi Green Hall in front of 250 people, just as we were for Night 6. And we begin with three-way action once again as the debuting Koharu Hinata faces Marigold regulars Komomo Minami and Yuki Minami. I didn't realize they have the same last name. And the match was not great, but in the end, Komomo Minami does get the victory, submitting Yuki Minami in 9:52. Koharu Hinata actually carried the match, pulling a 31 in-ring performance. Komomo with a 16 and Yuki with a 14. A wrestling rating of 20 and a crowd rating of only 9 leads to a segment rating of 18 and is a kind of underwhelming start to the show. And after the match, Yuki Minami was upset as Koharu Hinata almost injured her with a botched move, so definitely not a good start to the show. But it's only going to be up from here as we move on to our second match of the night, as the United National Champion Mikuwa Ono teams with Myla Grace against Chiaki and Rhea Seto, and Mikuwa Ono gets the victory for her team over Rhea Seto. Mikuwa Ono was head and shoulders above everyone else in the match, pulling a 46, Chiaki in second place with a 36, and then Myla and Rhea both lagging behind with a 16, a wrestling rating of 29, a crowd rating of 20, and a segment rating of 33, which is a big improvement over the last match that we had. And up next, Utami Hayashishita once again teams with Nao Ishikawa to take on Sari and Zeta Steel, and it is Zeta Steel picking up the victory for herself and the Marigold World Champion when she pins Nao Ishikawa, but not without a few underhanded tactics to leverage the victory over Ishikawa and Utami. Sari was unsurprisingly the best in the match, pulling a 60 rating, and Utami not too far behind actually with a 55. Now Ishikawa pulled a 26 and Zeta Steel at the bottom of the pack with a 17. A wrestling rating of 39 and a crowd rating of 28. With an overall segment rating of 45. Definitely steady improvement, and it seems like things may not be entirely finished with these two teams, or at least with Nao Ishikawa and Zeta Steel following this victory. Moving on to what I believe is our semifinal contest, Natsumi Shozuki teams with Kizuna Tanaka and Victoria Yuzuki against Misa Matsui and Twin Tower, Chikagoto and Koki Amare. And it is Misa Matsui that pulls away with the victory for her trio as she submits Kizuna Tanaka with a Manjigatami. Misa Matsui was the star performance of the match, pulling a 44. Not too far behind her, though, was the Superfly champion Natsumi Shozuki, pulling a 42. Koki Amare pulled a 36. Victoria Yuzuki with a 31. Chikagoto with 29, and Kizuna Tanaka with 28. So pretty solid performances from everyone in the match. An overall wrestling rating of 35, crowd rating of 24, and a segment rating of 40 for our semi-main event. And from there we head to the main event as Giulia once again teams with the reigning Marigold Twin Star champions Mirai Saku against Bozilla, Nagisa Nozaki, and Nanai Takahashi. And Mirai is able to pick up the victory for her team as she pins Nanai Takahashi with a lariat. Giulia was head and shoulders above everyone else in terms of in-ring work. Unsurprisingly, she pulled a 60 rating in this match. Mirai falls into second place with a 48. Nanai Takahashi with 45. Nagisa Nozaki with 43. Mai Sakurai with a 32, though she was really off her game. And Bozilla at the bottom with a 29. An overall wrestling rating of 43 though, and a crowd rating of 39 for a segment rating of 49 to close out the show. Or at least that would be the case, but we actually do hear from Giulia before at the end of the show. And Giulia stands in the ring with Mai Sakurai and Mirai celebrating her victory. She thanks everyone in Itabashi Green Hall for coming to see Marigold tonight. And then she announces that her final 5 matches in Japan will be taking place over the remainder of the tour. And as much as she loves teaming with her friends, she would rather spend that time facing the best that Marigold has to offer in singles competition. She has a few opponents in mind that she would like to face on her way out the door. She first names Mai Sakurai and Mirai, the two women she's sharing the ring with right now. She also names Koki Amare and the reigning United National Champion Miku Aono. But before she can name a final opponent, Utami Hayashishita makes her way out from the back, and she joins Giulia, Mai Sakurai, and Mirai in the ring. She steps up to Giulia and says that in all their time sharing the ring, first in Stardom and now in Marigold, that they have never once had a singles match. And she is not going to let Giulia leave Marigold and leave all of Japan without righting that wrong. Giulia naturally accepts the challenge, and on night 12 of the Summer Gold Shine Tour, she will have her final match in Marigold, facing Utami Hayashishita for the first time ever. An overall show rating of 48 for the night, and I'm quite happy with that. We didn't gain any popularity changes, but like I said, that's not very common for tour shows. So with night 7 in the books, we will quickly move on to night 8 of the tour. And as we get into night 8, we are live in Azalea Taisho Hall in Osaka, Japan, in front of 350 people, our biggest attendance yet. And we kick things off with a three-way match featuring two debuting stars for Marigold, as we have Yuki Minami of Marigold against the debuting Kohaku, as well as the debuting Natsu Sumire, who longtime fans of Stardom might be familiar with. And in our opening contest, it is Natsu Sumire getting the pinfall victory over Yuki Minami following an elbow drop. Natsu pulling the best performance in the match with a 38, Kohaku not actually doing too bad with a 30, though she did sustain a broken jaw during the match. And Yuki Minami only pulling a 9, so she is definitely falling behind the curve. A wrestling rating of 26 and a crowd rating of 9 for an overall segment rating of 25. As we move on to our second match of the night, where we get to tag team action as Komomo Minami teams up with the debuting Yuna Manase against Myla Grace and Rhea Seto, and Yuna Manase picks up the victory for her team as she pins Rhea Seto. Yuna Manase carrying the match in terms of in-ring performance as she pulled a 37, Komomo and Myla Grace both pulling a 13. Myla Grace was really off her game though, and Rhea Seto was also off her game, pulling only a 12, so not too great of a match, only a wrestling rating of 19 and a crowd rating of 8. But a segment rating of 26, so Yuna Manase was able to pull the match together enough for a pretty solid rating in the end. And moving along, Natsumi Shozuki teams with Koharu Hinata and our final debut of the night, Momoka Hanazono, against Misa Matsui and Twin Tower, who picked up the victory over the Superfly champion in our last event. And once again, the team of Misa Matsui and Twin Tower able to get the job done. However, this time it's Chika Gotso getting the pinfall victory over Koharu Hinata. Misa Matsui once again pulling the best rating in the match with a 44. Natsumi Shozuki not too far behind at 41. Momoka Hanazono with a 38. Koki Amare with a 33. Koharu Hinata with a 28, and Chika Gotso was really off her game, only pulling a 24. A wrestling rating of 35 though is still quite solid, a crowd rating of 18, and a segment rating of 40, so not too bad at all for this match. Continuing a bit of tension with Misa Matsui and Natsumi Shozuki, as it was Natsumi Shozuki who defeated Misa Matsui to become the inaugural Superfly champion, and Misa Matsui has been fighting with everything she has to get to that title and be the second Superfly champion. We move along as we have our first 8-woman tag of the save when Mirai Saku team up with Kizuna Tanaka and Victoria Yuzuki, taking on the quartet of Bozilla, Chiaki, Nagisa Nozaki, and Nanai Takahashi. And after 16 minutes and 28 seconds, it is Bozilla picking up the win for her team, pinning Kizuna Tanaka. Mirai pulls the star performance of the night with a 50 rating. Nanai Takahashi at 45, not too far behind her. A 41 from Nagisa Nozaki. 36 from Mai Sakurai, 33 from Victoria Yuzuki, Chiaki and Bozilla both with a 32, and then Kizuna Tanaka at the bottom of the pack with a 22. But a pretty solid match with a wrestling rating of 36, a crowd rating of 23, and a segment rating of 43. We then move on to our second to last match of the evening as Utami Hayashishita teams up with Nao Ishikawa once again to take on Sari and Zeta Steel in a rematch from night 7 of the tour after Zeta Steel used underhanded tactics to get the win over Nao Ishikawa. And this time Utami serves up some revenge to Zeta Steel, submitting her with an Argentine backbreaker rack to get the victory. Sari was the best performance in the match with a 58, Utami at 53. Now Ishikawa with a 26, and Zeta Steel seemed off her game, pulling only a 15. Wrestling rating of 38 and a crowd rating of 24, and a segment rating of 47. The crowd is very hot as we lead into our main event, the first of a series of Giulia singles matches as she faces the reigning United National Champion Miku Ono. The title is not on the line, but it is a war between these two women, and they go to the 20-minute time limit as Giulia is unable to pick up a victory over the United National Champion, and Miku Ono is not able to pick up a victory over the biggest star in the company. Giulia pulling a 65 in the match, and Miku Ono with a 43. Wrestling rating of 54 and a crowd rating of 44 for a segment rating of 62. Definitely our best match of the save thus far. And Giulia would show a little bit of respect to Miku Ono following the match. Of course, the future is in good hands for Marigold even as Giulia leaves. The United National Champion has put up one hell of a fight, and she is deserving of the position she has here in Marigold. And that wraps up our show with a 60 rating, increasing our popularity in 53 regions, as I didn't realize heading into the show this was actually a lesser event. So we had a boost in attendance and a boost in performances from everyone. And of course, a boost in popularity as well across, I believe that's every region in the game, or at least every region that Wrestle Universe covers. So a good boost to popularity for us in the middle of this tour. And moving on to night 9 of the Summer Gold Shine Tour, we are in Shinkiba First Ring in front of 288 people. And our opening contest is a 3-way match between Koharu Hinata, the returning local talent Miya Yotsuba, and Yuki Minami, and it is the Marigold newcomer Koharu Hinata picking up the victory as she pins Yuki Minami with a swinging DDT in 7 minutes and 47 seconds. Koharu also carrying the match in terms of in-ring performance as she pulls a 32, Miya Yotsuba pulling a 20, and Yuki Minami at the bottom with a 15. A wrestling rating of 22 and a crowd rating of 12 with an overall segment rating of 26 for our opening contest. As we move along to our second match of the night, where Kizuna Tanaka and Victoria Yuzuki once again team up against Natsu Sumire and Rhea Seto, and Natsu Sumire is able to pick up the victory for her team when she pins Kizuna Tanaka with an elbow drop in 11 minutes and 20 seconds. Sumire carried the match in terms of in-ring performance, pulling a 41, and Rhea Seto was the weak link at 13, with Yuzuki and Tanaka having 25 and 24 respectively. And interestingly, Kizuna Tanaka and Victoria Yuzuki also have zero chemistry as partners, which is another tag team that has been somewhat established in real-world Marigold, having no chemistry in the save. So it might be a short-lived tag team run for Kizuna and Victoria Yuzuki, but a wrestling rating of 26 for the match, crowd rating of 18, and a segment rating of 31. As we move along to 6-woman tag team action, Misa Matsui teams with Komomo Minami and Yuna Manase against Natsumi Shozuki, Nanai Takahashi, and Momoka Hanazono. Misa Matsui has been trying to compete for that Superfly title that is currently held by Natsumi Shozuki. But tonight, it is Natsumi Shozuki's team picking up the victory as newcomer Momoka Hanazono picks up the victory over Komomo Minami with a spear. Unfortunately, Natsumi Shozuki does come out of this match injured, sustaining broken ribs, though I don't think that will keep her out of wrestling, though I may give her a few shows off just to recover in time for the Dream Star Grand Prix. Misa Matsui once again leads the pack in terms of ratings as she pulls a 47. Nanai Takahashi is not too far behind at 45. Yuna Manase with 41. The Superfly champion Natsumi Shozuki at 38, and Momoka Hanazono right behind at 37, with Komomo Minami being the weak link with only a 19. A wrestling rating of 38 and a crowd rating of 26 for a segment rating of 38 as well. And following that, we move along to another 6-woman tag team match as Miku Ono, the reigning United National Champion, teams up with Twin Tower against Chiaki, Nagisa Nozaki, and Myla Grace. And it is Koki Amare picking up the victory for herself, Chikugoto, and Miku Ono as she pins Myla Grace with a big boot. Miku Ono with the best performance of the match at a 45, and Nagisa Nozaki right behind her with 44. Koki Amare once again delivering with a 38. Chiaki not too far behind her with a 37. Chikugoto pulling only a 29, and Myla Grace at the bottom of the pack with a 17. A wrestling rating of 35 and a crowd rating of 25 for a pretty solid segment rating of 41. As we move along to our semi-final match of the night, Utami Hayashishita, Nao Ishikawa, and Mirai teaming up against Bozilla, Sari, and Zeta Steel. And it is Bozilla picking up the victory for her team as she pins Nao Ishikawa. The Marigold World Champion Sari naturally at the top with a 58. Utami Hayashishita not too far behind at 55, Mirai pulling a 44, Bozilla with a 29, Naoi Ishikawa with a 27, and Zeta Steel down at the bottom with a 19. Mirai was also off her game, but still pulled a very solid rating. The wrestling rating gets a 39, crowd rating with a 31, and segment rating for 49. As we head into our main event, the second match of Giulia's farewell tour, she takes on longtime teammate and friend Mai Sakurai, and Giulia gets the pinfall victory over Mai Sakurai in 14:48. Giulia pulling a 51 in-ring performance, and Mai Sakurai with a 31. Wrestling rating in the middle at 41, crowd rating with a 49, and a segment rating of 48 to close out the show with a 47 overall rating. And Natsumi Shozuki's broken ribs can be worked through. They will be taking a toll on her for 26 days. So until the 7th of September, which I believe will cut into the Dream Star Grand Prix. So Natsumi Shozuki will be heading in with an injury, unfortunately. And now we move along to night 10 of the Summer Gold Shine Tour. We're in a sold-out Ryogoku KFC hall in front of 150 people. And we kick off with our opening contest, as following her absence last show, Kohaku returns in a three-way match against Koharu Hinata and Yuki Minami, where Koharu Hinata once again picks up the victory over Yuki Minami with a swinging DDT. Kohaku actually pulling the best performance of the match despite being slowed by her injury, pulling a 33. Koharu Hinata is not too far behind at 31, though she was off her game as well. And Yuki Minami once again lagging behind with a 14. A wrestling rating of 26, a crowd rating of 14, and an opening segment rating of 31 is not too bad at all. As we move on to the second match of the night, where Komomo Minami and Yuna Manase team up against Natsu Sumire and Rhea Seto. And once again, the team of Natsu Sumire and Rhea Seto get the victory in just over 10 minutes as Natsu Sumire pins Komomo Minami with an elbow drop. Yuna Manase had the best performance of the match with a 41, though Natsu was not too far behind with a 39. Rhea Seto with 17 and Komomo Minami with a 16, though she was really off her game tonight. Wrestling rating of 28 and a crowd rating of 19 with a segment rating of 34. And we move on to 6-woman tag team action as Misa Matsui teams up with Kizuna Tanaka and Victoria Yuzuki once again to take on Natsumi Shozuki, Momoka Hanazono, and Myla Grace. And Misa Matsui picks up the victory once again for her team as she pins Myla Grace with a Maru x Maru suplex. Misa Matsui, as usual, is also the best performance in the match with a 47. Natsumi Shozuki, despite being slowed by injury, pulling a 41 in second place. Momoka Hanazono with a 37, Victoria Yuzuki with 35, Kizuna Tanaka with 27, and Myla Grace was really off her game and only pulled a 16. A wrestling rating of 34, crowd rating of 21, and a segment rating of 41. I'm seeing a lot of steady improvement in our numbers, which is a very good sign going forward in this save, especially since we are so early into it. Nevertheless, we move on as Miko Ono teams up with Twin Tower yet again, taking on Chiaki, Nagisa Nozaki, and Nanai Takahashi, where Nagisa Nozaki gets the victory for her team, pinning Chikagoto following a big boot. Nanai pulled the best performance in the match with a 46, the United National Champion right behind her at 45. Nagisa Nozaki was off her game, but still pulled a 41. Kokiyamare with a 32, and Chiaki was also off her game, but she still pulled a 31. And Chikagoto at the very bottom with a 27. So not too bad from any woman in this match, with a wrestling rating of 37, crowd rating of 30, and a segment rating of 45. As we move on to the semi-final match of the night, as Utami Hayashishita, Naoi Ishikawa, and Mai Sakurai team up against Sari, Bozilla, and Zeta Steel. And it is Utami Hayashishita's team getting the victory in just under 15 minutes as she pins Zeta Steel following a Samoan drop. Sari is once again at the top of her game, pulling a 59 in the match. Utami was off her game, in fact, but she pulled a 54 nonetheless. Mai Sakurai with a 38, Bozilla with 31, which is very steady improvement from her, because I don't think she was pulling these numbers toward the start of the save. Naoi Ishikawa with a 28, and Zeta Steel with a 21. Pretty solid wrestling rating of 38 and a crowd rating of 30 for a very solid segment rating of 49. And following that, we head to the main event where Giulia faces another longtime teammate in Mirai. And just like her first outing with Mikuwa Ono on night 8 of the Summer Gold Shine Tour, these two wrestle to the 20-minute time limit, and the match is declared a draw. Giulia pulling a 50 performance, and Mirai not too far behind with a 45, as well as they have pretty good chemistry and lifted the match. a wrestling rating of 48, and a crowd rating of 52 for the very hot crowd, and a 51 segment rating, which nets us a 50 show rating. And as you'll see, we do have a very large popularity increase, and that is because I secured us a deal on Wrestle Universe to stream tour highlights. So we're going to be steadily increasing in all the regions across the globe where we just have zero popularity, rather than just increasing in wherever we're running, which is going to be very good for the future, not just with running shows across Japan, but also potentially running shows internationally. So as we look at the popularity breakdown, we are seeing increase in everywhere that Wrestle Universe broadcasts, except for Japan because our popularity is too high there, and as well as India because Wrestle Universe is not shown in India. But I mean, even getting these minor increases throughout US, Canada, Mexico, England, Europe, and Australia are just going to be very big for us, potentially looking to expand internationally and get some eyes on Marigold outside of Japan. But now we move along to night 11 of the Summer Gold Shine Tour, where we are in Tokyo in the Kitasenju Theater 1010 in front of 200 people. And we open once again with three-way action between Koharu Hinata, Myla Grace, and Yuki Minami. And it is Myla Grace picking up the victory over Yuki Minami by pinfall in just over 9 minutes. Koharu Hinata once again carrying the match as she tends to do in the opening three ways, pulling a 33 rating. Myla Grace was off her game and pulled a 19, and Yuki Minami pulled a 13. A wrestling rating of 22 and a crowd rating of 12 to start the show, with a segment rating of 28. And we move along to Komomo Minami and Yuna Manase once again teaming up, this time taking on Momoka Hanazono and Kohaku, as Momoka Hanazono submits Komomo Minami with a jumping arm cross. Yuna Manase with the best performance of the match at 40, Momoka Hanazono is not too far behind at 38. Kohaku was slowed by injury still, but she pulled a 30, and Komomo Minami once again pulling pretty low with a 17, but a wrestling rating of 31, a crowd rating of 19, and a segment rating of 36 for this match. We then move along to 3-on-3 action once again as Misa Matsui teams with Kizuna Tanaka and Victoria Yuzuki against Natsumi Shozuki, Natsu Sumire, and Rhea Seto. And it is Natsumi Shozuki, the reigning Superfly champion, picking up the victory for her team as she pins Victoria Yuzuki with a Meteora. You know how it goes by now. Misa Matsui with the best performance of the match at a 47, Natsu Sumire and Natsumi Shozuki both pulling a 39. Victoria Yuzuki picking up quite a bit with a 32, same for Kizuna Tanaka at 29, and Rhea Seto is improving as well with a 19. Natsumi Shozuki is still slowed by injury, and Victoria Yuzuki was also off her game despite the 32 that she pulled. But a wrestling rating of 34 and a crowd rating of 22 for a segment rating of 41. And we move along to Miku Aono teaming with Chikagoto and Nao Ishikawa against Chiaki, Nagisa Nozaki, and Nanai Takahashi. And Chiaki picks up the victory for her team by pinning Nao Ishikawa after 14 minutes and 29 seconds. Miku Aono and Nanai Takahashi both pulling 45 as the best of the match. Nagisa Nozaki is not too far behind at a 42. Chiaki with a 35, Chikagoto with 30, and Nao Ishikawa was really off her game and pulled a 25. Wrestling rating of 37 is actually pretty solid for our standards here in Marigold, and a crowd rating of 29 for a segment rating of 43. And we move on to our semi-final contest of the night, where Utami Hayashishita teams up with the reigning Marigold Twin Star champions Mirai Saku against Sari, Bozilla, and Zeta Steel. And in the end, it is actually Bozilla pinning Mirai, one half of the Twin Star champions, in just under 15 minutes. And potentially securing a future title opportunity with either Sari or Zeta Steel or any other partner of her choosing. Utami Hayashishita pulled the star performance of the match with a 60 in-ring performance. Sari is not too far behind her at 58. Mirai with a 49, Mai Sakurai with 35, Bozilla with 31, and Zeta Steel with 17. A wrestling rating of 42, crowd rating of 34, and a segment rating of 53, which is very solid for us. And the tag team division has potentially been shaken up thanks to Bozilla's victory here tonight. But after that, we have our main event as Giulia faces the woman that she named from the Marigold roster without a title, without any history with Giulia, just a woman that she wanted to face, a woman that she sees as the future of Marigold, and that is Koki Amare. And after about 15 minutes, Giulia does get the victory over Koki. Giulia with an in-ring performance of 48 and Koki not too bad herself with 38. A wrestling rating of 43 and a crowd rating of 44 for an overall segment rating of 51 to close out the show. with an overall rating of 50, which increases our popularity again in 45 regions. And we're actually seeing some numbered popularity increases, as in United States, Canada, and Mexico, we have shot up from 4 popularity to 5. And finally, we move on to the final night of the Summer Gold Shine Tour. This is night 12, being held in front of 600 people in a packed Shinjuku face. Everyone ready to see the final Marigold match of Giulia in tonight's main event. But before all of that, we kick off with Koharu Hinata, Momoka Hanazono, and Yuki Minami in 3-way action. And it is Momoka Hanazono picking up the victory as she pins Yuki Minami following a spear. Momoka also pulling the best performance of the match with a 39. Koharu Hinata not too bad herself at 33, and Yuki Minami with a 15, still picking up the basics of wrestling. A wrestling rating of 29, a crowd rating of 14, and a segment rating of 27, as we're a little penalized for not having any commentary, which I will correct for our next match, which is tag team action as Komomo Minami and Yuta Manase team up against Nanai Takahashi and Kohaku, and it is Nanai Takahashi picking up the victory for herself and Kohaku as she pins Komomo Minami with a Nana rocker. Nanai performed the best in the match as she usually does with a 44, though Yuta Manase is not too far behind with a 40. Kohaku with 29, though she's still slowed by injury, and Komomo Minami was really off her game and only pulled a 15. A wrestling rating of 32 and a crowd rating of 25 for a segment rating of 39. As we move on to trios action, a rematch from the last event as Misa Matsui teams up with Kizuno Tanaka and Victoria Yuzuki against Natsumi Shizuki, Natsu Sumire, and Rhea Seto. And Natsu Sumire picks up the victory for her team this time as she pins Kizuno Tanaka following an elbow drop. Misa Matsui once more picking up the best performance in the match with a 49. Natsumi Shizuki still slowed by her injury, though she did pull a 43, and Natsu Sumire just behind her at 41. Victoria Yuzuki continues to put in great performances, pulling a 36 this time. Kizuno Tanaka was really off her game, and she pulled a 25, and Rei Seto at the very bottom with a 17. A wrestling rating of 35 and a crowd rating of 22, with a segment rating of 43 for this match. Then we move to Miku Aono teaming up with Twin Tower once again against Chiaki, Nagisa Nozaki, and Myla Grace. And it is Miku Aono and Twin Tower picking up the win as Chika Goto pins Myla Grace. And during the match, Koki Amari unfortunately sustained broken ribs, so another injury that will be hampering a participant in the Dream Star Grand Prix, but she can work through that as Natsumi Shizuki has been, so not the end of the world. Miku Aono does the best in the match with a 48, Nagisa Nozaki not too far behind her at 46. Koki Amari and Chiaki both pulling a 37 despite Koki Amari's injury. Chika Goto pulls a 30 and Myla Grace with a 20 at the bottom, but not too bad herself. And following the match, as we've been seeing a bit of tension between them over the past few shows, Miku Aono and Nagisa Nozaki kind of butt heads a little bit, and Nagisa Nozaki expresses that she wants the United National Championship that Miku Aono has, but with the Dream Star Grand Prix ahead, these two are going to have to wait to get their hands on each other unless they end up in the same block. Following that, we move on to our semi-final match of the night, as now Ishikawa teams with the Twin Star champions Mirai Saku, looking to get a bit of comeuppance against Sari, Bozilla, and Zeta Steel after Bozilla pinned Mirai on night 11 of the tour. But once again, it is Bozilla picking up the win for her team, this time by pinning now Ishikawa. And naturally, the Marigold World Champion Sari is the best in the match, pulling a 62 rating. Mirai not doing too bad herself at 50, and a somewhat significant drop off to Mai Sakurai at 35, though not too bad herself. Same with Bozilla at a 34. Now Ishikawa with 29, and Zeta Steel at 19 at the very bottom. A wrestling rating of 38 is not too bad at all, and a crowd rating of 29 for a segment rating of 49. And following the match, we actually get the announcement for the Dream Star Grand Prix. We will be revealing the field of 20 competitors across 2 blocks of 10, and we will see which competitors from Marigold and the surrounding wrestling world have made their name enough to enter the inaugural Dream Star Grand Prix. As we start at the top of the A block with the Marigold World Champion Sari, and opposite her in the B block is the Marigold United National Champion Miku Aono. And joining Suri in the A block is one half of the Marigold Twin Star champions Mirai. And joining Miku in B block is Utami Hayashishita. Nanai Takahashi joins the A block as well, while the Superfly champion Natsumi Shozuki joins the B block. And continuing in the A block, excited to get her hands on Mirai after pinning her on night 11 of the tour, it is Bozilla. And in the B block is the other half of the Marigold Twin Star champions, Mai Sakurai. Joining the A block is Chiaki. Getting a big opportunity joining many established names in the B block is Koki Amare, and in the A block will be her partner in Twin Tower, Chika Goto, while in B block, excited to get her one-on-one rematch with Natsumi Shozuki is Misa Matsui. Another name in A block looking to make the most of the opportunity is Victoria Yuzuki. And in another big opportunity for a rising star in the company, Myla Grace joins the B block. And her former tag team partner, competing against two of the women she has been regularly teaming with over the last few shows, Zeta Steel, joins the A block. And joining the B block, excited to get her hands on Mikua Ono after tonight's events, is Nagisa Nozaki. In our first outside competitor of the tournament, Takumi Iroha joins the A block and brings a whole host of dream matches in that field with her. While joining the B block, also from outside of the company, it is Unagi Sayaka, who has been on a tear since going freelance and is looking to add the Marigold Dream Star Grand Prix to her collection of titles and tournament wins. And rounding out the A block, familiar to fans of Stardom, making her long-awaited return to Japan is the Megasis Megan Bayne. And rounding out the B block all the way from America and all the way from WWE NXT, it is Fallon Henley. So a very solid lineup for the Dream Star Grand Prix and many big matches that will be taking place. And for those interested in a behind-the-scenes look at the series, I will be sharing the first night of matches for the Dream Star Grand Prix on my Twitter page, linked in the description below. But following the announcement, we still have a colossal main event to get to, a first-time ever matchup between Giulia and Utami Hayashishita. And just as many would have expected, it was a clinic between Giulia and Utami, as Utami Hayashishita sends Giulia packing by pinfall after a show-stealing performance from these two women. A bit of a passing of the torch from Giulia, who many viewed as perhaps the biggest star in Marigold, to Utami Hayashishita, who has wanted nothing but to be the ace since she arrived. Utami Hayashishita actually pulling the better performance of the match with a 56, as Giulia only pulls a 49 for her final match in Marigold. Though, to break the fourth wall a little bit, Giulia has been undergoing some morale issues in regards to her booking on her way out the door. She is not a fan of time limit draws, as I have learned, and she is not so much a fan of passing the torch to Utami either, but there is no better woman to carry the reins as the face of Marigold, now that Giulia will be heading overseas to NXT. And to end the show, Giulia stands in the ring. She regains her composure following defeat, and she thanks Utami Hayashishita, she thanks the Marigold roster, and she thanks every fan in attendance tonight for making the last few months of her career some of the best. There is no woman that she trusts more than Utami Hayashishita to carry the flag of Marigold into the future, and she wants Utami to make a vow to Giulia and to make a vow to everyone watching at home and everyone in attendance tonight that she will win the Dream Star Grand Prix and she will dethrone Suri to be the new Marigold World Champion. And Giulia makes sure that everyone in Japan knows this will not be her last time here. She will return to Marigold someday, and she wants to test Utami again, but that won't happen unless they are both carrying the gold of their respective companies. But until that day comes, from Giulia, it is Arrivederci and see you later. A 58 rating for the show, increasing our popularity in 52 regions. which I believe is every region that Wrestle Universe covers except maybe Kanto, and the show also benefited from having quite a wide selection of angles, which is a little note to myself to book more angles going forward, and I most definitely will as I get more into the groove of booking Marigold and all the stories that will be coming out of the Dream Star Grand Prix and going on concurrently with it that I am very excited to take you guys through, and a very solid popularity increase across the board for us tonight, except for Kanto. This was a lesser event that was broadcast across Wrestle Universe, so lots of viewership from every part of the world to wrap up the Summer Goldshine Tour. And as we return to the Dream Star Fighting Marigold office to wrap up the video, there are two things I would like to address before we wrap up this video. The first is a quick note that I have found in my inbox that Stardom has declared war on Marigold. And though I have made a rule for myself that I will not sign anyone from Stardom outright unless their contract is expiring or they are being let go from the company, that may change as Stardom seems to want to pick a fight with us at Marigold. So there's a lot of names on their roster that would be interesting to see jump ship, as a war has begun between two of the top Joshi companies in Japan. And my next note is that for viewers of the series who want to get involved more, please leave any suggestions or challenges in the comments below. I will be sure to note down every last one of them and give myself some tasks to appease the viewers, as well as the owner goals that I already have and my own personal agenda that I am booking with. So leave your feedback in the comments below, and you could make a difference here in Dream Star Fighting Marigold. But until then, I will see you next time for Night 1 of the Dream Star Grand Prix.